So I walk out of the shower, I'm looking at the TV, I go, oh, invasion, who cares? Arab country, no big deal, I don't care. Well, about an hour later, I cared.
Is that
The wing commander...
you're forced to care?
Yeah, the wing commander comes down and goes, hey, we're going off alert. Everybody's going to go home and pack their stuff, and we are leaving rather quickly.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah,
you guys returned
We
quick.
left very fast.
And Mojave ground, X-ray 1, ready to check, 1, 2.
Welcome to the Naval Aviation Ready Room podcast, where the stories, leadership, and leading-edge technology of naval aviation come alive. Hosted by retired Navy Captain Ryan Keyes, this podcast takes you beyond mere museum artifacts as he delves into the personal stories, pivotal decisions, and state-of-the-art hardware that define the world's most prolific aviation force.
Major Ken Lee, United States Air Force retired, joins us today because of his unique aviation experiences. From his Air Force beginnings of flying helicopters, H-1s and H-3s, transitioning to fixed-wing flying KC-135 Stratotanker, and ending with the 1st Airlift Squadron 89th Airlift Wing flying Boeing 757s, and ultimately the Queen, Boeing 747 as Air Force One. But his aviation career wasn't complete, as he flew the 747 again at Atlas Air, major cargo carrier, then on to American Airlines, flying the 727, MD-80, 737, that's a lot of types, for 17 years. I bet that's a lot of flight hours. Ken, welcome to the Ready Room. First question.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, great. First question. What is it like to fly the most powerful person in the world around?
It's pretty amazing. You don't really think about it. You know, you're a little nervous the first time you do it, but then after that, it kind of becomes a normal event.
Yeah.
As normal as that can be, with a lot of cameras going and a lot of people around the airplane. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You get to see a lot of things. You learn that the news doesn't always get it right, because you see things.
Oh, sure.
You see things with your own eyes.
Behind
the
the curtain?
Later, oh, that really didn't happen that way, but okay. But yeah, it's a very, very cool experience.
Oh, I hadn't heard that about Air Force.
Yes, pretty recent.
Okay.
Well, I understand, pretty recent that they're doing all the training at Fort Rucker now for helicopter pilots. So you go through with an Army class, which was kind of different, class of 40.
A lot of warrants.
No. So the warrant officers were totally separate. We were going through with Army officers.
Oh, okay.
Second and first lieutenants, a few captains sprinkled in there. The warrants went through as warrant officer candidates, so they were getting the abuse for the entire time.
Yeah. Oh, going through flight school?
Right, going through flight school, which is hard enough without putting up with that abuse.
Yeah, right.
Nowadays, they become warrants, and then they go through flight school, so they've kind of toned it down.
Yeah.
But they'd run by the BOQs, carrying the logs on their shoulder, making lots of noise to try to wake us all up. And but yeah, so same class number. I think it was 8032 A and B, but B was the warrants. So 30 Army officers and 10 Air Force officers. And aviation wasn't a branch in the Army back then. So all of these folks were either armor officers or infantry or whatever. A couple of females sprinkled in it. I think the Army had 2 females. We had the very first Air Force female who was going to be a helicopter pilot.
No kidding.
Yeah, Lee Wittig, now Lee Sergi. More about them later. She was in our class.
No kidding.
And it was great, very competitive.
Yeah.
Flew the TH-55, the little Hughes 300. You know, you'd be all over the place. They take it, stops it, and the guy goes, just do this one at a time. And they would show you things. Can I write your name here in the sand?
Yeah, of course.
Just incredible. So I think roughly almost 80 hours in that helic. It was great. A lot of flying, touchdown autos back then, confined areas, a little bit of formation, bunch of solos. And then from that to the Huey, H-mile Huey, turbine finally, and then like a month of contact, just, VFR flying. And then the instrument phase. The instrument phase was the one that kind of the washout, the make or break phase, about a month of sims, and then actual hooded flying in the Huey. And as you know, there's nothing harder than flying a Huey on instruments.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not a Huey guy, so I don't know. But what's funny is you say that is I was listening to another podcast the other day. I'm not promoting them, but it's called Opposing Bases, if you've ever heard of it. Yeah, it's really good because it's 2 guys They were both both air controllers, ATC guys at one time, and then one left, and now he flies for one of the major carriers as a 7.5, 7.6 guy. And this guy is a retired Army Chinook pilot, I think reservist, and then now he's an air traffic controller.
Right. Oh.
And so on one of the episodes today, they're talking about NDB approaches.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, dude, even I flew NDB, non-directional beacon, which I don't think they even
Took
do
them
that
forever. They
anymore.
They do GPS. They were doing GPS overlays, but on a check ride. Still want to see you fly the NDB.
Yeah.
Now they've done away with that finally.
We did failed card at NDB
Wow.
in the HTs. I doubt they do that anymore, but yeah, I mean, that's like the old school type instrument training,
Oh,
basic
it's
instrument
tough.
stuff you would do, right?
No, yeah. I mean, no heading hold, no nothing. It's tough in the Huey.
Mm-hmm.
But so we lost a few people there, but
Okay.
I think we graduated with my entire Air Force class, which was pretty cool. So after instruments, you went to what's called Nighthawk, which is all night flying.
Okay.
And you get goggle flying.
Oh, yep.
And not good goggles.
Yeah.
The
The ones that weigh 20 pounds on your
Yeah,
head.
the old Anvis 5s that cut away the bottom.
Oh, my goodness. Your
You'd have
neck's
a-
dying
you'd have
afterwards.
So you have a bean bag on the back of your helmet.
Uh-huh.
Tough, but you'd fly with those for a month, confined areas, formation, touchdown autos, so low-level autos where you're zipping along at 100 feet, you roll the throttle off and just land. And craziest thing I ever did, I'd look over at the IP and his hands are in his lap like this. I'm like, man, that's trust.
Yeah,
Real
it is.
trust.
Wow.
So crazy. And then after that, we did a thing called Air Force Unique, where they said, okay, now we're going to take you away from the Army and put the blue Air Force on you. Unlearn all the bad habits the Army taught you. And that was a lot of instrument flying, some formation flying, the way the Air Force does it, and a few other things. Then you graduated, and it was great. And so after that, you go to Kirtland Air Force Base for our fleet replacement. That's where all the helicopter training was at that time. But I had about a 2-month waiting period. So they got me a job flying what's called Flatiron, which is the white medevac helicopter at Fort Rucker.
Oh, okay.
So I just co-pilot, just sit there and don't touch anything. But I got to fly with them, which was really cool.
Yeah.
You'd be out on the NOE sites where the Army students are down in the trees doing their NOE, and you're there in case somebody has an issue.
No way. I didn't know
it's a
they
lot
did
of fun.
something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Palmdale, Lancaster.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Familiar.
And they were doing the first, they were doing the shuttle landings.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the kind of the cool
That was
thing.
one of Wait. Edwards was always the initial place. Is
Yes.
that correct? Kennedy
Yes.
was the backup. So they were always going in there because of the big lake bed.
Right, or Holloman. Holloman
I didn't know
in
that.
New Mexico, yeah.
Okay.
If the lake bed was wet,
Yeah.
when they were doing the lake bed only, they would go to Holloman.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And then, so Holloman at Hill had a detachment of Hueys that did the same thing we did.
Yeah. Okay.
So I missed the first one, and back then it was great. The squadron commander had already called me. Hey, when you get down to Kirtland, as soon as you get here, give me a call, whatever you need. They were just fantastic. You're going to miss the first shuttle mission, but after that,
That'd be another one.
It was great.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing about that assignment was just lots of good flying, everything, mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Lake Isabella, which you may even know where that is, north of China Lake.
Ooh, I'll have to look that up.
We did a lot of our water training there.
Okay.
Water hoist stuff.
Yeah.
The shuttle stuff, rescues.
Did you ever go fly up in the Sierras?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Like in the Bishop. Have you been to like Bishop? Did you ever
Bishop,
go
yep.
up that area?
Yep.
Yeah, that's incredible flying up
We did
there.
a lot of our initial goggle flying wasn't big in the rescue units back then. It wasn't special ops, but not rescue.
Yeah.
But once we got our initial goggle stuff done, we would do a lot of flying up there in the mountains. Crazy.
It's the greatest flying. That's what I'll say about Fallon, which is, I don't know, distance-wise what it is from Edwards, but, it's 80 miles east of Reno.
Sure.
And so you go dead out there, then you would always take a day to go fly over Lake Tahoe and fly around there. I mean, dude, there's no greater flying around than that
Flying
for a
was
helicopter
great.
guy.
I mean, the weather was fantastic.
Yeah.
I was sort of blessed early as a lieutenant to have really good leaders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Leadership and mentors.
Yeah.
I had two great squadron commanders who they'd take the new guy. It was mostly lieutenants. Okay. It was a 3-helicopter detachment of a squadron in Hill. So most lieutenants, and then a major was the commander, and then a captain is the ops officer. But most of the first and second lieutenants, a couple captains, but they take you out a couple times, show you, and then they leave you alone.
Where'd you live?
I lived on base in a place called
Did you?
Desert Villa.
Oh, wow. On base. That's probably the best place to live back then.
It was the bachelor officers' quarters.
Yeah.
And it was, let's just say it was fun.
I bet it was.
And back in those days, the O Club was great. You'd go almost every night. And it was fantastic.
How many, before we started recording, talking about rescuing people out of the mountains.
Yes.
How many times do you think you did that?
I did it once or twice.
Okay. Yeah.
We did a lot of rescues. So you hear all about the California rains and the mudslides.
Yeah.
Been going on forever.
It has.
Well, when I was there,
Yes. Wildfires been happening forever.
every year we would have like a 2 or 3 week period where we did nothing but rescues out of water.
Yeah.
People getting flooded, mudslides, you name it. Rescued a dog one time, which I thought was the coolest thing. PJ went down on a hoist, grabbed his dog, and drove him back up.
Yeah,
It was
man's best
fantastic.
friend.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of that. We did medevacs all the time down to Loma Linda.
Oh, yeah.
They had a neonatal unit there.
Yeah, Northern LA.
Yep.
Yep.
And then there was a recompression chamber at Long Beach. So Edwards had an altitude chamber.
Yeah.
And they would bend people every now and then in that. And we would have to take them down to Long Beach to the chamber. And that was kind of fun because you'd fly down over the Cajon Pass.
Okay.
And it would be fogged in. You'd have to do an ILS into Norton.
Ooh.
Or march and then break off, get on the highways, and kind of low level your way into the helipad
pretty
of Loma
cool.
Linda. It was fun.
Yeah. I mean, that right there is truly helicopter flying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Use my instruments to get me somewhere and then fly 501 special VFR under the scuttle layer to get somewhere,
it was
right?
awesome. Awesome. We got to land. So during the work up to the Los Angeles Olympics, and the day kind of escapes me a little bit, we lent a couple helicopters to the FBI. So they were going to, we don't need your help. We just want your helicopters.
What are we, just a bunch of scrubs, I guess, right?
Right. So we got to go down and land at the LA police helipad on top of a building down there.
Okay.
And that was really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Just to see that.
Yeah, through LA?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, downtown Los Angeles?
Well, they had a whole helicopter system on the highways. They may not, I don't know if they still have that or not, but kind of a helicopter route structure through the highways. They have one in D.C. now, which has sadly been in the news for other reasons, but L.A. had one of those too that may not be around anymore.
Yeah, we would, when I was a FRS instructor as a lieutenant in San Diego, we would use the VFR section on the back side.
Yeah.
You'd flip it over, right? And you could essentially what we called the Disneyland route. And yeah, you just climb up. I mean, it's pretty high. For a helicopter, we're talking like, I think it was 6,000 or 7,000 feet.
Yeah, it's
right?
uncomfortable.
Yeah, very, you're blocked like a 500-foot hard altitude on both sides, and you don't have to talk to anybody.
So we had a helicopter all cocked, ready to go, loaded up with the gear, and we had a klaxon.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Like nuclear bomb type
Pretty
stuff,
much.
right?
They push the button, and wherever you are, you run out. If you're on the lurk crew, get in a helicopter and off you go, because it was the test center. But
Oh, yeah, right. So if someone's going up, like, think the right stuff, right? Chuck Yeager out there.
Somebody crashed.
Ejects out of an F-105.
That never, it happened once when I was not there. One of the B-1s had an issue and crashed, and I was out at Kirtland going through a school and missed it. But we went down and covered George Air Force Base was the F-4 Wild Weasel FRS. So they had issues all the time. So we get scrambled to go.
Pick somebody up.
Pick somebody up for that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you definitely remember your helicopter time very fondly.
I really
know
do.
It's because it's your first one, right? So you remember that. I mean, I can remember back, but I can't remember what I did like a week ago, but I can remember what happened 25 years ago pretty clearly. But then you made the switch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And are we going to call it from going from the dark side to the light side, or are you going from the light side to the dark side here? But then you made a fixed wing transition. So tell me about why.
So how did that happen? So after Edwards, I went to Andrews. Andrews had a helicopter special duty assignment, which did some VIP airlift, but they had a classified mission. They had Hueys and H-3s, and that was great. A lot of good flying there. But the squadron commander there had been at what's called MPC, our version of a detailer.
Oh, okay.
I speak from working here at the museum.
No kidding.
I speak some Navy.
Wow,
now.
that's good. I like it.
So great guy, another great mentor, Jay Messenger. And he called a couple of us in and said, hey, look, if you ever want to get ahead in this man's Air Force, you're going to have to go fly fixed wing.
Yeah, because at the time the helo community was
Right.
down here. They were not leading the Air Force.
It's always the way it's been. You and I talked about that previously.
It's the Navy too.
Yeah,
That's the Navy too.
You kind of get no respect, but that's okay. So he said, if you guys want to do that, they were sort of drawing down the helicopter force because the quote unquote Nighthawk never materialized. And then the F-117 community stole the name.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Very
They
true.
said, no, you helicopter guys, you can't have that anymore.
Yeah,
So they
that's
took
right.
the Nighthawk
Yeah.
name. So he said, if you guys want to go fixed wing, I can make that happen. So several, God, I think 6 or 7 of us said, yeah, we'd like to do that. So the way they did it back in those days, they initially started doing it at Randolph Air Force Base, which was Air Training Command's basically where they trained all the instructors who were going to go out to the different UPT bases, and then went on to the T-38. Now, the T-38 was a lot more difficult jet to fly. The Tweet was frankly easy. I did my instrument check after about, I want to say 3 or 4 instrument rides. And the guy giving me my ride said, wow, you're really good at this. I said, yeah, this is way easier than a Huey
Yeah.
on
I
instruments.
can just trim it and it just flies itself.
And by then you knew how to fly an NDB.
Mhm, yeah, that's right.
So some
Yeah.
some old Army DAC was having trouble. He goes, look, just push the head, pull the tail. Okay, it's that simple. So whatever course you want, pull the tail to it or push the head to it. So instruments were pretty easy in the Tweet. Then we get to the T-38, and that was about 6 months, and we got pretty much every single ride.
Okay. I mean, high performance.
Yeah,
jet,
difficult
for sure.
airplane
Yep.
to fly.
Stubby wings, unstable, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, and the way they flew it, I think, was a little nutty. They coming around what they call the final turn. They want you to pull it right to what's called the tickle.
Okay.
So you're right at a stall buffet. You feel the
Interesting.
tickle of the wing. So you're
Okay.
max performing the airplane around the final turn to land.
Okay.
And they want you to land on brick 1, not short.
Yeah.
And then trying to land on brick 1, guys that land short all the time in the overrun, not a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really fun airplane.
Okay.
You know, we got solo time in it, and we could pretty much pick any airplane we want. So it was fun. And then, so went up to Griffiths. Oh, and the FAA, she told him, okay, he's going to Griffiths. I go, well, we really need you here. We can't let you go. She goes, okay, that's fine. I quit. Oh, don't quit. So as soon as she threatened to quit, they changed their mind and sent her up to New York. Yeah. But it's a shame she had to do that. But it's a funny story we tell now.
Yeah, that's great.
And she went on to a long career in the FAA and retired. And
No kidding.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
great. So we get to Griffiths, and same kind of thing. Great squadron commander.
Okay.
Griffiths was a B-52 and tanker base. I think we had one tanker squadron. We later got another one from Pease, and one B-52 squadron. But another good squadron commander. I come in, he goes, hey, I know your story. I know you helicopter guy, you're doing this. You got to be a co-pilot.
Your reputation has preceded you.
Yeah,
right?
and he's like, look, I know that's kind of tough, but just work with me here. And it was SAC, Strategic Air Command.
Which, okay, so those who don't know, Navy-wise, kind of just talk about, not necessarily the history, but because I kind of know a little bit of it. So like the culture of SAC compared to maybe like Air Combat Command, right?
Yeah, real different from what I was in. But so first, the helicopters were in what used to be called TAC, Tactical Air Command, which is now ACC.
Okay.
Then they went to MAC, Military Airlift Command.
Yeah.
And it was very...
Then they went to AFSOC for a little
Then they
bit.
went
And
to
later
AFSOC,
on,
and
then they
then
go back.
back,
They've been gone back
all
and
over the
forth
place.
all the time.
But MAC was a lot more laid back than SAC.
Yeah, mobility, yes.
If you've ever seen the movie...
I know exactly what you're thinking. The one with the bomb.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'll think of it.
Yeah.
It's and How to Love the Bomb. Oh my
How I
goodness.
Learned to Love the Bomb.
Yes.
It'll come back to me.
It will too. Yes,
It's
it was one of those
just
things.
like that. They have no sense of humor. It is really, we do alert, and we are studying Russian fighters and bombers and where all the missiles are. And I'm like, okay. So the tanker squadron commander, Mike Link, still remember, great guy, says, look, just go with the program. I will get you upgraded quickly. You'll be an aircraft commander. You'll be an instructor. You'll be right where you ought to be. But just, play the game, do the program. And I did, and he was true to his
How
word.
long did that last as you
So I
as
was
a
a
co-pilot?
co-pilot about 6 months.
That's not that bad.
No, it wasn't bad. And just enough to learn, get comfortable flying the tanker, and then upgraded aircraft commander. And about 6 months later, got to upgrade to instructor.
Okay. Great.
And yeah, loved it. And we had A models, the old water wagon 135.
Why were
may
they
not have
called
ever
the
heard
water
that
wagon?
term.
No.
So this was back when man burned water to make jet engines more powerful. So we had demineralized water tanks, and they would spray water into the engines to give them more thrust. Google it. You think I'm crazy here.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna tell me what's it called again? You said
It's called a KC-135 water wagon.
water wagon.
Yep.
I'm gonna look this up
So the
afterwards.
very first version of the KC-135 that Boeing built, they put these water tanks. It had to be demineralized so it didn't gum up the blades
Okay.
with minerals. And putting water makes the air denser, I guess, and gives the engines more power. So you had 2 minutes of water. So you would, when you were doing what's called an emergency war orders takeoff, so you're heavier than you're supposed to be, you use the water and it gives you more thrust, and it makes just completely black smoke. And you're doing these minimum interval
well,
takeoffs.
just like the B-52.
Oh, exactly.
I mean,
it's
that
incredible.
thing puts out. Oh my!
But you're taking off in formation, 4 of you, and you're literally, there's like 3 of you on the runway, and you can't see the guy in front of you for the black smoke.
You would take off as a 4-ship in KC-135s?
Yeah, at intervals.
Yeah,
intervals,
sure.
Because you
yeah.
want to get the whole thing up and moving
Yeah.
right after the bomber. So the bombers would take off first, and then we would take off, get in front of them.
This
and
is
then
all like
refuel.
exercise and alerts
Yes.
you would do,
Yep.
right? With SAC. Or, oh my gosh, the Claxton.
Day and night.
And then go off.
Klaxon would go off. Sometimes you just go to the aircraft and you decode a message every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be go to the aircraft, start the engines. Sometimes start the engines and taxi. Sometimes rarely take off. You didn't want to ever launch an alert force. But you would do it with a different, non-alert aircraft. But you never, funny story there, you never taxied first on alert because you wanted to make sure the message was not decoded improperly. So you always waited for somebody else to move.
But then that
before
guy
you
waited
would
for
move.
somebody else. And that guy waited for
Because it happened
somebody
all
else.
the time. So it's a crew of 4, pilot, co-pilot, navigator, and then a boom operator.
Okay.
/ load master, but
Yeah.
boom operator mostly. And the navigator was in charge of decoding the message. And always you're kind of sitting there looking at him, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? But you never, ever wanted to move first.
So was the navigator, or would you guys swap as
No.
aircraft? But no, I'm saying as mission commander. Well, there are navs who are mission commanders though.
No,
too.
not usually. AC was usually always in charge.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. That's interesting because in some instances of like old P3 days or P8
Right.
days, right? You could have the
Yes.
navigator, NFO, be the mission commander tactically,
Yeah.
and not necessarily the aircraft commander.
No,
do
if
that.
we did some big 4 ships, you'd have one of the senior ACs being the
Okay.
mission commander for the whole thing. But usually
Yeah.
the NAVs didn't do that.
Okay.
So Alert was doing that. Well, back to the water wagon. So one of the NAV's jobs was to call 110, which meant 110 seconds on the water. Okay.
Oh, then you have to shut it off.
No, it shut itself off.
Okay.
But you had to have you were so heavy, you had to have the flaps up so you could accelerate before the water ran out. So you had to use that extra thrust from the water to accelerate, get enough flying speed, get the flaps up, and get clean before the water ran out. Okay? It really made things a lot tougher than they needed to be. It was a hard airplane to fly. So there was a huge sort of deceleration when the water ran out.
Oh, is there
It's kind of big.
At what altitude?
Usually, I don't know, 1,000 feet.
Oh,
Pretty
okay,
low because
okay.
you're accelerating to get the flaps
Yeah.
up. So you get this big rush, and usually you look at the nav and goes, oh yeah, 110 on the water. Thanks. A little late.
You don't do
on
us
that.
any favors, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we eventually got rid of those and got what are called R models, which are still flying today with the big CFM 56s.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering, when did that go away?
Much better performance.
Yeah. All through it. Just
much safer.
yeah.
Yeah, if you lost the water on takeoff, like if something went wrong, lost it on one side or lost all of it, it was like more than losing an engine. The
Oh my
thrust
gosh.
loss,
Yeah.
it was crazy aircraft to
Wow.
fly. Yeah,
That's very
everybody
interesting.
thinks it's a 707, but it's sort of like a poor man's 707.
Yeah, I read that.
It doesn't have a lot
a little
of
shorter.
little shorter,
Yeah.
doesn't have all the backup systems.
Yeah.
It's a poor man's aircraft, but
Yeah.
a very great performer still there today.
Yeah. And being replaced now by the
Yep.
KC-46.
So we got our models. We were one of the first bases to get those. So there was a period I was flying the A and the R. And so we're on alert. One more funny Griffith story. So we're on alert August the 2nd when Saddam invades Kuwait. And I'm the senior AC on alert, which means I'm in charge of the tanker force. And the only benefit to that, you get your own room. Okay.
Oh, at the queue to stay,
in
or
the
in the
alert
squadron.
facility.
Yeah.
In the alert facility. Oh, we had literally a building right out on the flight line.
Yep, I believe it.
Pretty nice chow hall and all that, but I get my own room, which is great. So I walk out of the shower, I'm looking at the TV, I go, oh, invasion, who cares? Arab country, no big deal, I don't care. Well, about an hour later, I cared.
Is that
The wing commander...
you're forced to care?
Yeah, the wing commander comes down and goes, hey, we're going off alert. Everybody's going to go home and pack their stuff, and we are leaving rather quickly.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah,
you
so
guys returned.
We left very fast because we had the R models, and they were in demand because of the big fuel loads they could carry. So we got, we went through a mobility line, got all the shots. And remember how they used to tell you when you get all these shots, you can't fly for 12 hours?
Yeah, no.
Wrong.
Were you flying right away?
Yeah.
Get on. I need you to get on that airplane
Right
now.
in the seats. So did I think it was 12 hours and change flight from Griffiths. We were in the first or second force ship over to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Direct.
Yeah. Did you drag the B-52s or
No,
you just...
we got over there. They weren't over there yet. We were going over to support F-15s.
Oh, okay.
So they sent F-15s out of Langley kind of as quickly as they can to get over there. And we were there to support them. But we moved all over the place.
Yeah.
And ended up coming home about 6 or 7 months later, but got a lot of flying time.
Yeah. I assume before that, you were still flying all over the world, right? I mean...
Yeah, we would do
like
deployments.
Go to the UK, Mildenhall or something like that.
Mildenhall or Fairford, but usually Fairford for deployment, what they call the tanker task force.
Okay.
And then you spit out all over Europe, depending on what they needed you to do.
Yeah.
Went to Incirlik, Turkey quite a bit.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Huge Air Force base.
Yep. And then if you were going to the Pacific, you would go to Korea, I think.
Okay.
We didn't get a lot of Pacific stuff being an East Coast base.
Yeah.
Or Diego Garcia, another garden spot.
I've never been there. I've actually had 3 friends who have been the Navy base commander at Diego. Yep. You go there for a year unaccompanied, and they rotate through pretty quick. So
rough place, but strategically important.
Oh yeah, very, very true.
So yeah, a lot of flying, a lot of those debts, and then a lot of stateside stuff, a lot of ARs at night, and then Griffiths was one of the last B-52 bases to have the air-launched cruise missile.
Oh, wow, ALCMs.
The nuclear version. So they would do like they called it a surety exercise every 6 months ago. And it was every 6 months. And it was always in the middle of the night. And a gazillion standbys because there's a lot of eyes on. Let's make sure this works good. So the buff launches and then we launch and refuel them and they go do their thing. Come back, we'll go back in the pattern, do some stuff, and then refuel them again. Crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of flying time.
Yeah, I bet.
It was good to me. I got a lot of flying time, which enabled me to get enough time to apply to Andrews.
Yeah, so let's move on to that. So why then going to do that special mission?
Yeah.
I would assume that's what it is, a screening process.
Yes.
To get there.
Griffiths was going to close. The rumors were flying around. That was when the BRAC was coming around. And I said to my wife, Jane, I said, we got to get out of here. We got to find something to do. And I had friends at Andrews by then. One was the vice wing commander. And I called him up. I said, hey, I'm thinking about applying to Andrews. And I had a lot of flying time. I didn't have as much as they like. I had the minimum, but they want more. The minimum was 2,500 hours being an instructor in a heavy airplane.
So they weren't really counting your helo time per se. All just got okay.
But I had enough fixed wing time.
Okay.
But yeah, wow. The old lack of respect for the helicopter because that's really, we don't care about that time. You've been there.
Yes.
So, but I called him up, Jay Messenger, and he said, I think you'd be competitive. Go ahead and apply. So you applied, you had to get released from your major command, so SAC, And I went into the wing commander, great guy. He knew me because I was in Naval by the standards by then. Your version of NATOPS. He goes, "Yeah, I'll sign off on that." So then send him a package, which is basically all your OER, your efficiency reports, every check ride you've ever taken from inception. Yep, they got all my helicopter records, everything. 2 pictures, a face shot, a full face shot, a rec letter, I think from your wing commander, maybe getting that wrong, and send the package down. And then from that, they interview about 30 people. And I got called down for an interview. And the way it was explained later after I was there is if we call you down for an interview, we accept your qualified flying credentials wise. Now we're trying to see if you're somebody we want to hang out with because they do some long trips. And so got through the interview. And at that time, they had C-12s and they trained attachés that were going to embassies. So you could go be a C-12 pilot and then you did your penance there. And then you could go into one of the 2 squadrons there, the 1st Airlift Squadron or the 99th. The 1st had 707s at the time. They had just gotten rid of their 135 cargo aircraft. And then the 99th, which flew DC-9s and Gulfstreams.
Oh.
So I interview, go back home to Griffiths, and about a week later got a call from the squadron commander. He goes, "Hey, we'd like to hire you to the C-12. And then after that, bring you to the 1st Airlift Squadron." I'm like, "Great. I mean, you're not going to say no, right?"
Yeah.
But between the time I left Griffiths, this was in 92. I want to say I got hired in like April or May of 92, and then we PCS'd in August. The C-12 was going away. So they said, "We're going to bring you right to the 1st Airlift Squadron." I'm like, "I'm great with that." So get there, I was going to go in and fly the 707. So the way that works is you go down to, at that time, the old Pan Am training facility in Miami.
No way.
Yep.
Were they still, was it still Pan Am?
Pan Am didn't exist.
Yeah, okay.
But this was their building, and it was still called the Pan Am Flight Academy or Training Academy. But they had the only 707 sims that were kind of viable for us to use.
Okay.
So you go down there, our instructors, our being the 1st Airlift Squadron, and you go through about a month-long training course to fly the 707, and did that. And then you come back and you do a bunch of local rides with instructors and get upgraded, and then you're a new guy. And a little bit of an adjustment because you were, an examiner, instructor at your old squadron.
Now you're a co-pilot again, right?
Yeah, now we don't want to hear from you unless we tap you on the shoulder, which is great. And I didn't have any trouble with that. Some guys kind of struggle with that a little bit. Didn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
And you fly everybody but the president. So the vice president on down.
Yeah.
The 8 guys at that time that flew the president and the 747, they had their own little building, and that was called the Presidential Pilot's Office. So there were 4 full-time guys up there, and then 4 what they called augmentees.
That's all?
That's all.
8 pilots.
There's another story about that.
Oh my
that I'll
gosh.
get to in a little bit. Yeah, it's not enough. In my opinion, it wasn't enough. But one of the augmentees are guys that are in your squadron, okay, and you keep a qualification. So you keep 2. You're qualified in the 747, but then you're also qualified in the 707 or the DC-9 or the Gulfstream. So if the president's going somewhere that the 747 can't fit, you take one of those other airplanes.
Okay.
So
Did that happen a lot?
Oh, it happens more than you know.
Yeah, I mean, huge airplane. So yeah, okay, got it.
Yep. So one of the guys who was an augmentee was my initial instructor in the 707, Wayne Williams. He might have been a full-time guy by then, but really good guy. And we would just go out and beat up the pattern, just very patient. And when he retired, a couple of years later, I ended up getting drafted up there. And you don't apply, you don't do anything, you just get...
So could you stay in flying the other ones and never move up into those 8 slots?
And unfortunately, a lot of people did that.
No way.
Yeah. And at that, it went through a kind of a growing pains process. There was a time when you could go to Andrews and fly any of those special aircraft, and you could stay forever, and nobody bothered you. And, you said, "Look, I don't want to get promoted. I just want to stay here." That's fine. Stay here and fly. Because you went through a fairly rigorous security clearance process. And once they do that, it's like, yeah, we don't want to do it again. You can stay, and you know the mission. But while I was there, they were kind of going through we need to stop majors and lieutenant colonels from flying and grow the youngsters, and let's send these guys out to maybe not so desirable assignments.
No kidding.
Yeah, but I managed at that time. I just started to get pulled up as an augmentee to Air Force One, so I escaped that fate, which was great.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an interesting place. And then when you get picked to go fly Air Force One, you go through another security process, clearance process, where you get what's called a Yankee White clearance. And I think they still call it that today.
Oh, okay.
Have you met Shep Brown, another one of our volunteers here?
No.
He flew Marine One. He's somebody you need to interview down the road.
Sure.
And he still remembers it as being called a Yankee White. But another process, and then they actually go out and interviewed my neighbors. Wow. They really do a background. So once you get that clearance, and it took about a year, you can be next to the president unescorted.
Oh, wow. No,
So
that's what it gets you.
Yeah, the Secret Service signs off on it.
Oh, wow.
You don't need to be, because there's always a Secret Service guy around if you don't have that. You may not see them, but they're always there.
Okay.
So that took a while. But back to the squadron.
What was your time frame here? So what?
I got there in 92.
Okay, so
And I got
end of Bush, or
end
is
of
it Clinton?
Bush, the beginning of Clinton.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think I went to 747 school at United in 96. So I went through the regular process, co-pilot, aircraft commander, instructor. And again, you fly everybody but the president. Sort of the unwritten rules, there was an instructor on every mission, not necessarily the aircraft commander, but you're going to have an instructor as part of the crew. Usually always flew with 3 pilots, what we called augmented, because you're flying some long, crazy days.
You guys will rotate through,
Yes, long days. I mean, some of the stuff we did back then, I'm not sure you get away with now with risk assessment and everything else.
Yeah.
Some long days. So you'd fly, vice president always had to be an instructor in command, but sec state missions were fascinating. Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
And then CODELs, congressional delegations. They were probably, these were all high profile missions, but they were probably the easiest because things wouldn't change. In other words, you get on the road and you're going to the places you are expecting to go. Sec states always changed.
Oh, man.
You really had to be on your feet. And it was kind of a good deal for the pilots. So the pilots did all the flying.
Do you guys have navigators?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the navigators did all the basically communication with the embassies. And this is before.
They didn't do the flight planning?
They did some of the flight planning.
Okay.
But we
mainly
did
it was the pilots.
we would do the nuts and bolts of what's the airport have.
Okay.
Okay, where are we going? Can they support us? Do they have ground power units? Do they have fuel? Do they have water for the aircraft? Is it potable water?
Okay,
We have to be careful about drinking it. Can they take the airplanes, the weight bearing of the runway? Because we went to some really off the wall places.
Yeah.
In Russia, China.
Interesting
you name it.
consideration.
Yeah, and you really had to dig to get a lot of that information because you just couldn't find some of that stuff on the Russian airports. So we had a pretty good, and this is way before, obviously, the internet was any good.
Yeah,
email.
You're trying to find phone numbers in the back of a pub somewhere.
Right, call the embassy, Jepsons.
Oh, the embassy, yeah.
We had a whole room of Jepson approach plates and information, and we had books of information for airports folks had been to. So if you went to an airport, you were expected to do a whole debrief sheet about here's what's good, here's
Trip
what's
report.
bad. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was helpful. But the NAVs did all the communication with the embassies
Okay.
because they had to get our diplomatic clearances. You just can't fly through some country's FIR without clearance.
Even if you're Air Force One, right?
Yep, got to have a clearance.
That's right.
A diplomatic clearance. And this is way before email. So they're doing all this with the old message
traffic.
And just filling out the message traffic forms was a traumatic event, if you remember that. You've been around long enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. And then send it to the embassy with what we called our list of demands. We were a big
list of demands. That sounds great.
And you always try to, the guys that train me to do it, say, hey, look, once we get into this, call the embassy guys direct, the DAO, the Air Force rep, and say, look, you guys need anything? Food, whatever, stuff for kids, babies, whatever. And that would always sort of help put you in a good light because you're really interrupting life for them
Yeah, bringing the president over, man,
on
it
some of
disrupts
these
everybody.
trips. Yeah. Well, even Secretary of State and those missions were a lot of just disruptive for them and having to basically stop what they're doing every day and deal with all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I flew Warren Christopher a lot, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Who he
Yeah,
was.
he was Secretary of
great. Secretary of State.
He was. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. Who was Sec Def during that time? I remember. I can see his face. With Cohen.
Cohen, and then William Perry.
Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Perry. He was
I remember that.
really good. Yep.
Yeah.
But Christopher was great. Just a kind, nice guy. And then some of the trips you got, and just then having to, once you get on the road, I mean, they're trying to put out fires wherever. And okay, now we're not going here. He always had a staff guy. He wouldn't come to us and tell us this, but his staff would come, okay, now we've got to go here instead. And so then you're on the road and you're having to redo dip clearances, times, hotels, shop. I mean, the flight attendants, I'll get into the crew makeup in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
They usually get all the food before we left. Okay. Big coolers on the airplane. Air Force One had what are called chillers, refrigerators. But you try to get as much of that in the States because it's a known entity as opposed to buying something on the economy in another country. So just a lot of moving parts with Sec States. Again, Codels were easy, fun.
So would you fly the 707 with everyone else, and it was only the 74 for the vice president and the president?
Vice president, no. Only
Vice
the
president didn't fly in the 74?
No, sir.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The 747s, the two, are dedicated just to the president.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Period. In fact, Vice President Gore tried to get it when he was campaigning at the end of Clinton's second term, and they basically turned him down.
Sorry, man.
Wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, so you get a 707.
Oh, man.
I mean, they're pretty airplanes, but they're a lot of work to keep them flying.
Okay. So you did 8 years there, is that right? And then retired out of there.
Retired out of there and went to work almost immediately for Atlas.
Yeah. Tell me about them, because I actually have a couple of buddies who do fly for them. I don't know if they fly the 7.4 per se. They're former helicopter guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who then I think went maybe regionals for a little bit, got picked up, and then transitioned to Atlas, and so in the cargo world.
There's a whole community out there that basically takes helicopter guys and gets them up to speed.
It is. Yep, there is.
One of our tour guides here, Rusty Berry, I think does some of that.
Is that right?
It's a great thing.
Wow.
So back when I went to work for Atlas, it was only 747s. They had 200s and 400s. So the Air Force One aircraft are literally some of the last 747-200s to come off the assembly line. The 400 was being built, and I think the Air Force looked at that, but then decided, too new an aircraft, plus we have navigators and engineers, and we're kind of used to doing business that way.
I got you.
So they kept...
And they don't have that on the new 7.4. That's just two pilots, or three pilots.
Two pilots, and I never... So I flew the 707, I flew the C-32 or the 7.5 simulator, but they came too late. I had already retired before the actual airplane showed up.
Okay.
But we didn't kick the engineers off completely. They kept them as... They don't call them crew chiefs. They call them something else.
Okay.
But they're there to basically take care of the airplane, fuel it, lock it up. When I was there, the flight attendants did not operate the doors. Only our flight engineers could operate the doors.
Oh, they're big doors.
They're worried about blowing slides.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to be careful about disarming the slide and all that. And I don't know how they do business now on the C-32s. It's been almost 26 years now.
Yeah.
But they do fly with some kind of crew chief, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so going back to the crew, I'll get to Atlas in a minute. It's usually 3 pilots, 2 navigators.
This is on Air Force One.
Air Force One or the 707.
Oh, okay.
3 pilots, 2 navigators, 2 flight engineers.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Usually on the 707, I think it was 2 or 3. We call them radio operators, old school, but they prefer the name communication systems operators.
Sure. Yeah.
And then 4 security police that guard secure the airplane.
Yep.
Flight attendants in the range of 6 to 7, depending on how big the quote unquote party was.
Yeah.
And these are not your normal flight attendants like you have on an airline. They're buying the food, they're cooking the food, they're loading luggage, they're cleaning the airplane, they're doing everything. They work really hard.
Yeah.
Air Force One's a little different. They have more CSOs, more radio operators.
Okay.
And they also have 2 crypto maintenance technicians.
Sure, handle all that.
So we have so much. The whole upper deck is cockpit, crew rest area, communications, and that's the whole purpose of the airplane is being able to communicate securely. But there's so much crypto gear that doesn't always work correctly. You got to have guys to basically repair that all the time.
In flight.
In flight.
Yeah,
and we
in flight.
carry spare parts between. There's always 2 airplanes. You only see one on the news, but there's always a spare close by.
Yeah.
There's usually more if they're doing other different things. But between the 2 747s or a 747 and a C-32 backup now, they've got enough spare parts to fix pretty much anything that's going to break. So the maintenance guys are very good at keeping up with the commonly failing items. So we carry a lot of that stock. I think we carried 1 nose tire. We carried a couple main tires.
Wow, yeah, you don't want to blow one of those out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Same thing with the 707 to some degree. One of the trips I did in Spain, I flew over as a co-pilot on the 747 and then took a 707 down to Granada to President Clinton and his wife to have dinner with the king.
Okay.
We were just going to fly down there. We were going to go to dinner. We were going to fly home. Well, while we were there, we had an engine issue.
Oh, no.
And overseas, we're flying in a suit and tie, not our blue uniforms.
You fly in that?
In a suit and tie, yes.
No way.
All the time. Flight suits were not, pretty much didn't wear a flight suit too much there. Blue uniform.
Yeah. Your dress uniform.
Dress uniform, suit and tie overseas. So when we had this engine issue, so the Clintons are off eating dinner, and my 2 flight engineers are literally on top of the wing with their coats off, ties undone, working on this engine. It's crazy.
Wow.
They got it repaired in time to where never knew a thing. They show back up. We go back up. I think we're in Madrid and drop them off. It's crazy.
That's a great story.
It's the Air Force, when you're flying Air Force One, you get a lot of support.
Yeah.
You have advance agents that go out.
Sure.
Looking at the airport itself. There's no guessing on where you're going as far as the airport. Any questions you have, you get them answered. Squadron flying, not so much. You're kind of on your own. Even Air Force Twos, you're on your own. You don't really have advances. I think they started advancing Air Force Twos, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you're out there on your own, hoping the support goes good. You're depending on the embassy to take care of that stuff for you. Again, our list of demands. Here's what we need and kind of why we need it. If you divert the technique I got taught. So coming back into the States one time, we had an issue and we had to divert into Griffiths. And we have great comm on the 707. So I said to the radio operator, hey, call the command post of Griffiths, tell them who we are, say, I want to speak to the wing commander. Go right to the top and just say, hey, here's who we are. Sorry to bother you. This is who we have on board. And really, truly, you're sorry to bother them.
Yeah.
But they want to hear it from you. They don't want to hear secondhand. He's about to get this invasion. Again, with the Secretary of State
high-level
board.
people coming in.
And you want it to go well. I think we diverted in there for an engine issue or something. But that always worked really good. We always got the support we needed.
Yeah. So did you feel like, since you're almost on kind of under a microscope, you have all this support, but as an aircraft commander, do you feel like your ability to make decisions was less than when you were flying a Huey doing a rescue?
Not at all.
Okay.
They were very good about that. Only diverted on Air Force one time when I was flying. We were going to Aviano, and the president was going to get off in Aviano, get on a C-17, which was properly armored up, and fly into Sarajevo, I think.
Oh, wow, okay.
Deal. And that was kind of the mode of operation back then. And we couldn't get into Aviano due to weather, so we had to divert to Frankfurt.
Wow, the weather must have been really bad.
Yeah, fog or something really bad.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on where you're going. That airplane can fly a Cat 3 approach, basically an auto land and no visibility. But you got to have the runway and the equipment, and Aviano didn't have that.
Got it.
But fog, so we had to divert into Frankfurt, which was a big deal. And the Secret Service hates that because they don't have all their prearranged things going on there. But the other advantage, you're doing it as sort of a surprise, so bad people don't have the opportunity. Right, exactly. So zipped in there, got gas, weather cleared at Aviano, went back there, and it all worked out well. Yeah. And the same thing on the 707. But didn't get any pushback from anybody.
Okay. Yeah.
Got to go divert,
Mhm.
and off we go. And never encountered that on any
No one came up to you, the
Nope.
cockpit, and go, "Hey,
Question
what
later.
are you doing? We need to get in here.
Nope.
You know, this is of most importance."
Nope.
Yeah.
They trusted your experience level
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever. We're not going to go in there for a good reason.
Yeah.
Very rare that would happen.
And this wasn't you're not a colonel at this time, right? So yeah, you're a major, which is awesome with a lot of flying experience. But
Yeah.
but man, that level of responsibility is great.
Usually the military aides got it. You know, they were
Yeah.
all, a lot of them were pilots,
Yep.
no matter what service, so they didn't get it. Some of the staff, the civilians sometimes would get a little grumpy,
Uppity?
maybe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, why can't we do this?
Yeah.
But, they would never heard any
Wow.
pushback ever.
Yeah.
There was a whole office at the Pentagon called CVAM, Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force for Special Air Missions,
Okay.
that sort of parceled out all the airplanes and figured out who was going to get what airplane. The 99th got, some different stuff with their Gulfstreams and their C9s, but they kept a lot of heat off of
Yeah.
us too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, like I said, flew for Atlas for about a year in the 747.
No. So Atlas, I went to work right away for them because I had 747 type rating already.
Uh-huh.
And they were great. They let me fly the 400, which was a
Were you
blast.
based out of Miami?
I was based out of New York.
Oh,
Kennedy.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought maybe you would have gone down to, did they have, because they have a base there now
Yeah.
in Miami.
Yeah, I think we just had the New York base back
Okay.
then. It was fairly new, so we went to training in Minneapolis at the old Northwest facilities.
Oh my gosh.
Got our
Awesome.
747 training there.
Okay.
And then went to New York, and they would deadhead us. Sometimes you'd fly an airplane. I think my very first trip, I got deadheaded on British Airways over to London and had to take a cab to Stansted to meet an airplane
Yeah.
to do all over. And you go everywhere, Hong Kong, all over the
Flying
world.
through the
It's
night.
Great.
Yeah.
And the 400s are what they call the nose loaders. So the nose of that
Oh, yeah.
airplane would open and they could shove stuff in that way. So
Yeah.
they were really in demand.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd fly everything from cars, horses, cargo pallets, you name it. And it
Horses.
was very different. A lot of,
Yeah.
very different from the Air Force.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, I bet.
Not the glamorous lifestyle, but great, good flying,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
good people. And one of my old ops officers at Andrews, Tom Jackson, still around, another great guy.
Yeah.
He was at Atlas as a fairly senior captain. And so while I was at Atlas, I applied to American, Southwest, and Delta.
Okay. I was going to ask you, how
Started
did that?
to hear back.
Oh, okay.
And
What
I-
year is this?
This is 2000.
Okay.
So I went on terminal leave in 99.
Okay.
And then 2000, started applying all these other places while I was working for Atlas.
Yeah.
And I started hearing back, and I went to Tom. I'm like, hey, I felt bad. I've only been at Atlas less than 6 months, but I'm getting calls.
Yeah.
He goes, look, if you have the chance to go fly for one of those airlines, you should take it. Just be a gentleman about it. Go to the chief pilot in New York, give him notice, say, how long do you need? And I did all that, and they could not have been more gracious.
Yeah. Wow.
They were great. So went to work for American. I sort of picked based on what I thought the pot of gold at the end of the thing was going to be, which
Yeah.
is a crapshoot
Yeah.
anyway.
Yes, it is.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
And American, I could be based in D.C. We were living in D.C. at the time
Okay.
still. My wife, we had come back to D.C. So when we came back, she went to work at National as a controller.
Okay.
And by then
Dang.
it moved up to Baltimore. She retired out of Baltimore. She loved it up there.
Wow.
So went to work for American on the 727 as a flight engineer, which was great.
As an FE?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
Yep. So about half our class got 727s, and about half our class got the MD-80, the Super 80. I call it the not-so-Super 80. Just kind of a tough little airplane. But I had guys tell me, look, for your first year of probation, they can fire you if they don't like the way you look.
Yeah.
I mean, so go sit on the engineers panel.
Okay.
You can't get in a lot of trouble back there.
No.
And it's a great way to do
good
your
advice.
probationary
Yeah.
period. I thought it was great advice.
Yeah.
So I went to the panel. I loved it. I didn't really understand what my Air Force engineers had been telling me was so tough about it. It was kind of great. And you know how it is when you're watching
Great line.
two guys up front fly
Yeah.
and things are going badly and you can just see from your seat back here what to fix. You're just sitting back there in the engineer's chair and going, hey guys, why don't you do this? Kind of thing. It was great. So I ended up doing that for 2 years. I could have left at the end of my probationary period, but they were starting to get rid of them out of the airline.
Okay.
So I was getting more and more senior.
Yeah.
So I started flying with a couple of guys I really liked, John Smith and Keith Furman. Keith's now the director of flight for New York, a great guy. And so we would fly together every month, and we basically get the trips we wanted. It was a blast.
Not bad.
Keith, I ended up flying my very last flight at American. He was the chief pilot in DC, and I said, hey man, I'm going to build my last trip. I want you to go with me. And he says, I'd love to.
Oh man, that's so
we
cool.
had a good time.
Wow.
So stayed on the 727, then went to the Super 80, the not so Super 80. And it's just fine. It's just kind of a workhorse airplane that's not very automated. Still flew NDBs in it, got a lot, and it's typical Douglas product.
Oh my gosh.
If you can have one switch to do one thing, Douglas, we need 5 switches to do one thing. So
no way.
Moving levers around.
Never heard of that.
All this. Oh yeah, it had a pneumatic air system on it. We had to do all this lever pushing around, just crazy stuff. But flew that for a while. Then the 737 was kind of new to America.
Okay.
And when I could go to that, I did. A lot of the old head American pilots like, look, when a new airplane comes, stay off it for a while.
Okay.
To see all the issues it's going to have. But I'm like, nah, I want to go to it.
Okay.
So I went to it and it was great. It's pretty much stayed on that the whole career.
And then you weren't a flight engineer though. You're a first officer.
No,
then
that airplane didn't have an engineer.
Right. First officer, then upgraded to captain after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a domestic guy the whole time.
Domestic, we did a lot of Caribbean.
Okay.
And they started doing South America, but I had retired by then. So I did a lot of Caribbean flying out of Miami, which was great. My wife wasn't so happy about it.
Were you based out of DCA still?
DCA. So DCA had Caribbean trips through Miami.
Oh, wow.
They don't really do that anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
So we go to Miami, then go to Aruba or wherever, spend the night, and then back to Miami, up to DC. So during the winter, if the weather was bad, a snowstorm, we get to Miami, and then you're stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Darn.
I call her. We had 2 little kids at the time.
Okay.
Hey, not going to make it home tonight. Great. Well, you have fun. If I need you, I'll call.
That's the phone call that every spouse dreads, right? Hey, you're supposed to be back this day. I'm not going to be able to make it.
Much.
Yeah, not going to be able to make
But
it.
yeah, I really enjoyed American. So stayed based in DC almost the whole time, and I was about, God, I'm trying to think what year this was, 2012-ish. Not as earlier than that. Anyway, they had a program going called FOQA, Flight Operations Quality Assurance. It's huge now.
It is.
Back then it was fairly new and it had sort of died, wasn't really being used properly. So a guy came to me, Brian Beach, goes, hey, we'd like you to go kind of revive the FOQA program. And
Sweet.
I thought about it. I'm like, not really. And
how far into American are you right now? How many years?
So I got hired there in 2000. I want to say it was 2010 or 11.
So you were a captain already on the
No, still
7-3.
first, just the first officer, lowly first officer.
Okay.
So I go, nah, I don't really want to do that. So he goes away, comes back, goes, what would it take? I said, okay. So I'm going to shoot for the moon. So I'm still living in DC. I was like, all right. And I had to work out of Dallas.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's where the safety shop was.
Yeah.
You got to give me positive space whenever I want.
Sure.
So I'm not going to non-rev. I got to get an apartment and I got to have a car, and that's your deal. Okay. So they agreed to it. So I went out, took over the FOQA program. What FOQA is for folks that don't
please do tell us. This is interesting.
It's extremely interesting. They take all the flight data from every airplane in the fleet. That's like 6,000 flights a day. And all that data gets aggregated, okay, from all the different fleets, all the different types of airplanes. And then a company, it was called Austin Digital then, down in Austin, Texas. They're kind of the ones that invented this whole thing.
Oh, okay.
I think they've since been bought by GE maybe. They take all that data, huge amount of data, aggregate it, and then mask it. So then they can go with a with a proprietary program
Okay.
and look at all that data and look for certain events.
Yeah.
And we could define those events, like an early descent on an approach, an overspeed, a
okay.
flap overspeed,
Uh-huh.
engines failing. Just your imagination is the limit. You can think of all kinds of parameters to say.
And you would sit there, and was it you? Was it a group of pilots?
So the software program would go through and look at all these events and then identify. So every day there was a data dump. Here's the interesting events. And they were data masks, so the crew wasn't identified.
Sure.
The crew, the date, and the flight number wasn't identified.
Okay.
And the reason for that, so the company, American, couldn't retaliate.
That's
And
right.
We said, look, this is the only way we're going to get to hear about what actually happened. Even, if it was their fault, if it wasn't their fault, you can't, it's got to be, amnesty, period. Okay. And everybody agreed to that. And they kept their word. So then we had the union had gatekeepers, and the gatekeeper could actually see the identity of the crew.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then the gatekeeper would call the crew and go, hey, on such and such, they identify themselves first. They go through kind of a whole laundry list. Hey, I'm here to help you. Everything we say is confidential. The company, Americans are never going to hear about this. And then they would talk about the event. And sometimes the guys would go, yeah, I knew I was going to get a call
I
from you.
exceeded this something at this time.
And sometimes they had no idea.
Yeah.
And were completely surprised. And when I left the safety shop, they were just developing an animation program. Now that's come to fruition. They can animate events.
Yeah.
They can bring crew in and show them everything that happened in extreme detail.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really, really good. And then we also have what's called an ASAP program.
Yep. We have that too.
I don't know what they call it in the Navy.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you self-report an event, and then you get amnesty for that event, unless there was alcohol involvement,
Yes.
willful disregard, the big five. So me and my guys and girl, Lisa Johnson, another great person. She's now 787 check airman. Fantastic.
Wow.
They would interview a crew.
Yep.
And then if they thought an ASAP needed to be filed from this FOQA data event, they could tie that ASAP to that FOQA.
Okay.
So you tie those two together.
Yeah.
So the amount of data we got out of that was just incredible.
Yeah, and just increased safe operations, right? Awareness.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Couple really, and 99% of the time, a crew would be very forthcoming. Yeah, I'd help you. Occasionally you'd get a crew that did something and knew they'd done it and they lied to you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had one event in my time there where crew basically, not to get into too much detail, but let's say almost lost an airplane and basically acted like it was turbulence that caused the event, and then didn't say anything. And then a flight attendant in the back, her husband was a check airman. She called her husband and told him about the event, and literally I was getting a call from the FAA like an hour after they landed.
No kidding.
And that's the other thing, we had an extremely good relationship with the FAA. So our FAA principal operations inspector, the head guy for the FAA at our airline, and I would have breakfast every Thursday morning, go over the week's sins, and say, okay, this crew did this, and here's what I want to do. Okay, sounds good. He was fantastic. We would fix 99% of the problems without anybody getting any bad paperwork.
That's good.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So he called me up and he goes, hey, you might want to go take a look at this. This happened. And we took a look and we're like, yeah, this is really bad. So we called the crew and I had some folks that did interviews. They specialized the gatekeepers, and they could tell right away the stories were all exactly the same.
Little rehearsed.
Yeah, and they said, look, we're here to help you. Help me to help you.
Yeah, that's
kind of
right.
thing.
And they wouldn't.
It didn't happen, but that was really, really rare. Most of the time, the crews were there to, they were thank you for doing that. We had a crew descend on an approach early, and break out of the weather and see nothing but water. Oh, missed approach. They go around and come back and they fly another one and land. Well, it turns out they'd been flying an all-nighter and fatigue was an issue.
Oh.
And they had no idea how close they were.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Until we brought them in and showed them all that. It's an amazing program.
I said it's just the safety record of the airlines is, not knock on wood, right? Is amazing unless something like DCA happens and there is a pilot error that's involved in that caused that collision. But it's instruments like that, and the Navy does ASAP. We did we call it FOQA for a little bit. I'm not really sure, but we do exceedances like that too. So when I was the Commodore, I would get monthly reports of that for all the H-60s or the 53s, that are in the wing, and you could see when it happened, what squadron it was.
And what caused
It's a great tool. Yeah.
And there's usually a rule and great and really good things came out of it. Like for instance, we had a lot of flap over speeds, and flaps 1 was the first flap setting in the 737. And all it really did was sort of put the slats out and maybe extend them a little bit, but there's speed limits associated with that. So guys kept exceeding the flap limits. So the airline came up with, now we're going to call the speed out.
Yeah.
So physically, pilot not flying has to say, so I'm flying, I call for flaps 1, he goes, okay, below, I think it was 210 maybe. No, it was faster than that, 250, 240, whatever. Those numbers are lefty. So
it's been a few years.
Below 240, flaps coming to 1. So added a step. You got to look at the airspeed. Yeah, we're not going to overspeed the flaps. And flap overspeeds just plummeted after that.
Look at that. It's a mitigation.
It's great.
Right? Yep. And then as long as everyone complies with it, because they go through training again to get it, then they're not going to have it.
So it's really, I feel really good kind of having helped bring that back to life. And then the other cool part of the story is several folks that were in that shot now have gone on and are leadership at the Airline.
That's awesome.
A vacation with them now. So you kind of get to hear what's going on. It's just really cool.
And you did that for about 3 years?
3 years. And then my last year, I went back and I just flew.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to go fly. I didn't want any responsibility. And I retired at 60. When I got hired, you had to retire at 60, but they later changed it to 65.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But financially, my wife and I had planned I want to retire at 60 because we want to travel. We love to travel.
Okay.
And I want to do it while I'm still able.
Yes.
I don't have health issues. I'm not dead.
Yeah, that's
which when you get older, that's an issue.
Yes, that could tamper the vacations.
Right. So I retired at 60 and I could have stayed a few more years, but just started traveling and love it.
That's fantastic.
Literally the year I retired, about 2 months later, a guy rode up on a bike that lives in my neighborhood. Lou Plotz, volunteer at the museum, old F-8 pilot.
Okay.
Along with Dave Lorenzo.
Yep.
He ejected out of an F-8 in the Gulf of Tonkin at night.
Oh my gosh.
He rides his bike up to my house and goes, hey, I hear you're an Air Force guy. I hear you're retired. We need you over at the Navy Museum to be a volunteer. I'm like, I'm an Air Force guy. He goes, don't worry, we'll train you.
That's how you got here.
And that's how I got here. So came over, initially worked in visitor support, and then Lou Humphrey, the head docent, said, hey, I've heard your background. I'd kind of like you to become a trolley driver. Back then we gave rides out on the flight line.
Yeah, that's right. It was way before my time.
And one of the reasons he asked me, you had to have a DOT physical to drive the trolley at that time. And I was one of the younger guys that could actually pass the physical because you had to go down to the flight surgeon. So true story, I go down to the flight surgeon, I could literally feel my blood pressure popping
that
up
right?
as I walked in the door there.
Like, you're out, sorry. Yeah.
But did that a few years, and then Lou said, hey, all right, now it's time for you to transition over to giving tours inside, and did that. And then 2 years ago, I took over.
So now you run the Blue Angels, right?
The Blue Angel practice team for the museum. Doug Harrington and his wife Patty were doing that, and then Patty had some health issues, and Doug said, look, I'm going to have to be with her. Can you do this? So Pete Moore and I took it over. Pete's an 86 pilot.
Oh, yeah. I've met him.
Later, Northwest. He was the chief pilot at Northwest, retired.
Really?
Yep. So Pete and I do that together.
Okay.
And we love it.
Yeah.
We do practice. We both can narrate, but we let Dave and Doug are much better at it. Our time will come, so we let them do
that's
it.
right. Just start practicing now. Yeah.
So just love doing that, and we get anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000 people out there. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's growing, as you know.
All the time.
Bleachers and everything else.
Oh, yeah, it is. You guys do an excellent service out there to be able to corral people
Oh, yeah.
and to make it so it's safe
And fun.
and fun. Exactly. Safe and fun. And it's a show that you're not going to see anywhere else.
And you
because
never know
are
what you're
on the
gonna
flight
get.
line. Yeah, that's right.
We listen to the radio. Sometimes you get you get the same maneuver twice.
Yeah, that's right.
You can hear the chatter going from the beginning of the season where it's, very strict radio protocol to the end of the season where we're having complicated discussions in the middle of maneuvers. It's great. And it's great to see the team get tight and just really good. But I love doing that.
That's awesome.
So, yep.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think we should just end on a high note with that. Ken, it's been great hearing your stories from helicopter days through Air Force One to now the Blue Angels here. So, and I know you're going to keep continuing doing this, keep traveling,
Yes.
right, as well. And but your home now is in Gulf Shores, Alabama,
Yep.
which is just right down the road from the cradle of naval aviation. So
Yep.
thank you very much for joining
I
us.
appreciate
today
the effort, Ryan. Thank you
in the
very
ready
much.
room. Yeah,
All
you're
right.
welcome. Thank you for joining us on this flight through history and innovation here at the Ready Room. We hope today's episode inspired you with new insights and the incredible stories that make naval aviation so extraordinary. If you enjoyed the journey, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your network. It helps us reach more listeners like you. Don't forget to visit the National Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola, Florida, or explore our online resources at navalaviationmuseum.org to dive deeper into the stories we've shared. Follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and a sneak peek at upcoming episodes. Until next time, thanks for listening to Ready Room. See you on the next flight.